Hello, Ariana here, Heart Chakra Tarot. So I'm doing a Spirit Speaks video today. I was shuffling the cards and three cards flew out. Um, I was going to put them back. It was from the Healing, like the Shadow Work deck, but I decided to go ahead and use it. And they have very similar energies as well. So I've already taken a peek of those. Let me go ahead and flip over these other cards. I'm also using my new Modern Witch tarot deck. I have been waiting for it for a long time. I kept getting the wrong deck. Okay, so let me take a quick glance here. All right, so I was doing some love readings before this, and I felt kind of like this somber type of energy, like this low energy, and I'm feeling the same with this reading. And a lot of it in this reading pertains to healing, really. Healing, because healing is what encompasses shadow work, is really getting to know kind of like your bullshit, right? Really seeing your bullshit for what it is and calling yourself out on it, as well as coming to an understanding of who you are and what triggers you, what pains you've experienced, how they still manifest in your life. So I feel like those of you watching are in a state of like kind of like sorrow. It feels like sorrow, like you've experienced loss. And I don't just think it's loss of only other people, but I feel like you feel like you've lost yourself. And the message is like, it feels that way because you're doing the healing, you're doing the shadow work, and you're questioning who you are. You feel like you've lost a part of yourself. But remember that the part of yourself that you think you've lost, it's really only like a unification of you, because that is part of you. And while it feels like you're losing it, it only feels that way because you're healing it. You're healing it, and those cycles are coming to an end, is what I'm getting. So don't feel as if you addressing your shadow or you going through healing is like leaving a hole in you, or part of you is necessarily dying. I feel like that's how you feel. You feel this sadness because you feel like there's a void of you, a void in you, a hole in you, due to the shadow work or the transitioning transformation process that you're going through. And I know this is very cliche, but that's what I'm getting, is those parts of you that you think are void are really only feeling that way because of the transformation. And the cliche part is, yeah, you are making room for the new transformative um, outlook, perspective, beliefs, ideals. It's still you, and whether you feel like it's died out, like it's still something that is in you. And it's like again, a unification. See it as a unification, because sometimes we tend to like piece ourselves and categorize ourselves, and we feel very, well, we may not feel it, but it just seems very what's the word I'm looking for? Um, it's at the tip of my tongue. Like defragmented. That's the word I'm looking for. We have a very defragmented self, because we tend to hide the shadow, be embarrassed of the shadow, not want to pay attention to the shadow. So we're defragmented. So again, I feel like I'm being repetitive. So don't see it as a void. It's just the picture is becoming more clear, and you're making room to experience life through that more clear lens, more clear perspective. So yes, there's a sadness in you. You know, I can feel it, I can see it. But it's all part of your journey. It's all part of your healing process. So be gentle with yourself as well. I know when we're facing our shadow, it's very likely for us to kind of have um, like self-hate, the embarrassment. We can also be triggered through shadow work. But the message here is things are coming to light, and they're coming to light so you can rise like the phoenix. Like really, they're coming to light so you can rise like the phoenix. So yes, it feels like things are crumbling. Your life might even appear like it's crumbling, like your foundation is crumbling, but it's really in order for you to rise. And you're being asked to, when you rise, to really come into your power, to not be afraid to be more assertive, to be more assertive, be more authentic, um, and more disciplined and structured. I feel like there's a need for structure as well. But again, it's all a process, and it doesn't have to be rushed, and it's not linear. Okay, it's not linear. So don't feel like I've done the shadow work, I'm good, next step. Like, don't rush it. And it doesn't flow that way, because experiences, as we're living life, they may bring up old triggers that we thought were healed. So just keep that in mind. It's not like you can go, okay, step 2, step 3, because it's not a linear progression. Yes, there's overall themes that we can label or name along the way, but just because you're now living 4D, 5D, doesn't mean that you won't be impacted by things you consider in the 3D. Oh, I've already healed that, or I've already done that. So again, don't rush the process. Be gentle with yourself. And yes, this is happening, but you're gonna rise stronger. But make sure you assert yourself. Part of that asserting yourself is also putting boundaries, is what I'm getting, setting boundaries, as well as like not being afraid to say no, not being afraid to, again, draw the lines, draw your boundaries. And instead of doing things because you feel like everyone is doing it, you kind of feel pressured to do it. It's like, no, like assert yourself and do what it is that you intrinsically want to do. Like what I'm getting is like, get your yes be a yes, and let your no be a no. That's what I'm getting. So yes, stuff's coming up and it's healing you, but you are strong. Like you are able to manage this, to go through this. But just make sure that you're also checking yourself and not being self-deprecating, because I feel like that'll only regress like your healing progress, right? So it's not a time to blame, it's a time to face, but it's not a time to dwell in that blame and guilt energy, right? It's like, make sure you don't get sucked into that, is what I'm getting. Like, make sure you are able to acknowledge it, face it, and then like free it, right? So it kind of shows a story here of where you are now, like feeling like there's a void in you, and maybe trying to figure out who you are, and things are crumbling. But at the same time, the story also progresses with so much understanding of yourself, so much more strength, because you'll have your boundaries laid out, you'll have more of a structured and discipline to your life. And I feel like this is going to bring about kind of like that, that happy family energy, is what I'm seeing here. And it's all because you're going through this shakeup that's ultimately leading you to your deepest calling. And I feel like you feel like you know that it's understood. Let's see, I feel like pulling another card from this deck. But again, this one came out, I was going to put it back, but again, be gentle with yourself along the way, and know that you do have the strength. And while you're going through this shadow work, you're really taming as well a lot of the ego and the narratives that you feed yourself. And sometimes when you're taming the ego wants to hold on. Yes, the ego does serve its purpose. It's very survival based. It's very pattern based. It picks up on pattern and it wants to protect us. So it feeds us all types of stories like out of fear, right? So just another message that is coming through is kind of like let it crumble. So when you're going through the shadow work and healing, like let it all come out. Let it all crumble. Yeah, it's like when you're playing Jenga, right? It's like knock out the tower. Like knock it out so you can take a look at all the pieces and review them and then make sense of them is kind of what I'm getting. So don't feel like you, or check yourself if you feel like you're holding something back. And like let it crumble, let it fall. All right, the card that flew out is one of having fun. Like, yes, you're going through this process. Whoa, those two for sure wanted to come out. Like, yes, you're going through this process and you're not feeling, I mean, it's kind of hard for you to feel happy right now. I feel like it's taking effort for you to feel happy right now. But it's saying, it's like, yeah, this is happening and it's for your greater good and it's going to make you stronger. It's going to open up more light. But, you know, make sure you have fun with it as well. And the ones that flew out, so it's called, this card says, let me just show you, The Great Gathering. I don't know if you can see it. The Great Gathering. It's all coming together. Intuitive hits, soul tribe. So yes, while it may feel as if the whole foundation is shaken and crumbling, it's like it's rebuilding. And it's rebuilding again. You're rising like the phoenix, right? How perfect. So you're rebuilding, you're rising like the phoenix. And like try to have fun. Try to remember to also celebrate like the process. Celebrate that you're putting in all this work. Like it doesn't have to be such a serious process. And the other card that came flying out is pretty much saying, like, try not to make, or not, actually, no, let me rephrase that. That's passive. It's saying, do not make any decisions right now, like any monumental decisions. It's saying no, like, don't do it. Like, now's not the time. And I think that's because since you're undergoing all this kind of like an emotional upheaval, it's like now's not the time to make those. And you should know what decision this is referring to. But it's saying no. Like, go through this healing when you feel like you're not in a place of sorrow and sadness. Let your decision come from that place rather than the place you're currently at. Because again, the energy that I'm getting right now is one of like sadness. Like there's some sort of like holes in you, like Swiss cheese, right? So that's the message. I want to end this Spirit Speaks with one of these beauties. Let's see. What deliciousness do we have here for the viewers? Here we go. I am the dreamer of my dream. So again, you're strong, right? You're able to go through this. You're able to succeed because you are in charge of this life. You are the creator of this life, right? So yeah, this ties in also to like be more assertive, disciplined, and structured. And that's also knowing your power, coming into your power. So I hope you enjoy this and have a great day. Thank you so much.